Just over a year ago, I left my full-time job. It has been a year of being full-time self-employed, full-time YouTube content creator, so it's time to share an update on how it has been going and reflect on if I made the right decision. It's been a year of ups and downs, full of challenges, cool new opportunities, difficult moments, really exciting experiences, and everything in between. I did a 3-month update video, 6-month update, and it was really interesting watching those back again to see how my current thoughts and mindset compared to those other 2 points during last year. So how has it gone? Overall, very good. I am now absolutely certain I made the right decision, but that doesn't mean it was an easy or super successful year. But I do feel extremely optimistic and excited about the future. I have tons of ideas I'm just itching to work on. So rewinding a bit over a year ago when I was considering leaving my full-time job to try YouTube, I was coming to the realization that I wasn't truly that happy with how things were going. Job was good, travel was cool, plenty of cars and disposable income, but you know how they say after a certain dollar amount, more money doesn't necessarily make you happier? That is absolutely true. I didn't have anybody to share it with. I barely had time to enjoy my own cars. I was really stressed and burnt out. So I started contemplating if I should try for a big change in my career in life. I ended up resigning from my full-time job. I took some time off in January to rest and recharge, and then I jumped into being self-employed. But before we start getting more in depth with some of the pros and cons of doing YouTube full-time, let's talk about today's video sponsor, BetterHelp. As I mentioned earlier, one of the driving forces behind wanting to leave my full-time job and pursue YouTube was that it felt like it would give me a much better chance of finding a significant other again. In the past, in between the demands of my full-time job, YouTube travels, and media events, I essentially had no semblance of a work-life balance. I really had no time for a relationship. I had some pretty epic experiences and opportunities, don't get me wrong, but oftentimes I would miss having someone to share these things with. I ended up meeting my fiance, Angel, and even though I figured out very quickly that she's the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, relationships are still all kinds of complicated. Last year, I faced some challenges of balancing our relationship with the challenges of being self-employed, struggling to handle the stresses and disappointments that come with being a content creator on YouTube. But I knew that having a strong relationship was absolutely important to ensure I could be successful with my career, but even more importantly, enjoy what life has to offer. I went through many of the difficult questions and thoughts that can come when you're in a relationship. Why do I feel like I'm not good enough? Questioning if my needs are valid, struggling to coherently express my feelings. Working with a BetterHelp therapist can absolutely help with these things. I have been able to talk through some of these relationship concerns with someone who's trained to help find real answers. I've personally spoken to my therapist about things like being better with active listening, being comfortable with letting go of control with some things, working on being more empathetic and comfortable with talking about my feelings. It's super simple. You fill out a questionnaire and you get matched with a therapist. You can also switch therapists anytime at no extra cost if it's not the right fit. I am also on the go quite a lot, traveling all over the country for work, trips to film cars in California, Arizona, and various media events. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy more convenient and comfortable. You can do it from home, your hotel room. It's flexible. Also remember, going to therapy is a sign of strength, not weakness. There are so many kinds of relationships that can be improved by therapy, not just romantic ones. It could be at work with family members or just your friends. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/EddieX and get 10% off your first month of therapy. Now back to the video. So I want to talk about some of the pros and cons of the last year of full-time YouTube. I think the number one biggest pro has to be flexibility. I never want to have to consider PTO again, those 3 letters. I can travel wherever I want, whenever I want. My schedule is pretty crazy, but it's essentially fully in my control. I can decide when I want to work, when I want to relax, when I want to do household chores, run errands, edit my videos, film videos. Obviously, I'm a little bit at the mercy of sunlight when you're filming outside and the weather, especially in Michigan right now in the winter. So I've been running away to California and Arizona and filming out there with the fantastic roads and weather. But that's the whole thing, right? The flexibility. When you're self-employed, you really are your own boss. I am not beholden to meeting schedules or PTO requests and how much time I have off. And I think that is one of the biggest strengths. When you're employed, one of the things I always remember like struggling with is you need to get all these things done as a real adult, right? Go to the bank or go to the dentist and all these different things. And those businesses, their operating hours are the same hours you're stuck working. So it's like, when am I ever going to have time to go do this? And when you're self-employed, I just go get a haircut at 2 in the afternoon if I want to, because I need to today because my hair is getting too long, right? As an example. So that flexibility is pretty awesome. Now that's within certain parameters, right? There are media events. When there's a press drive or press launch, I need to make sure that works with my schedule. My travel schedule is still pretty insane. I am juggling a lot of different things. I do still have some meetings that I work with my schedule, but that flexibility is a little bit addictive. It is definitely my favorite part. And I just don't know, going back to like a really rigid 9 to 5 office schedule might drive me insane. It may happen again in the future. Maybe I get kind of bored with the whole flexibility thing. I don't know if I could, but there's a chance I may need to go back to that kind of rigid structure, and there are pros and cons of both. But to me right now, in the last year, flexibility is amazing. I can film a video when I want, I edit when I want, I can work on a weekend. My weekend could be a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I just structure everything around there. I'm still working plenty, right? But it's that flexibility. Another pro, I feel like that I have less stress, but it's a different kind of stress. It's a lot of self-accountability now. The amount of pressure and work that I have to do is equal, if not more. When you're self-employed and when you're doing YouTube content creation, anything in this realm, whether it's an e-commerce business or you're, again, starting an agency or doing your own content, the work never ends. There is no, it's 5 o'clock, I'm done, clock out for the day, move on, right? There is always a to-do list. At any moment, if Angel or a friend or my parents ask me, oh, what do you have going on right now? Like, what do you need to do today? I will just rattle off a list of 15 things. And I'm usually met with this blank stare of overwhelming panic, like, oh my gosh, why do you have so many things to do? Because that's the way it is. At any moment, I have between 5 to 7 videos to edit. I have to film, plan for filming, answer emails, work on my schedule, work on coordinating press cars or with owners, friends, drive cars, all that kind of stuff. There's a literally endless amount of work to be done. Strategy, accounting, so other social media platforms. Like it never ever ends. So there is stress that comes with that, but it's different, I feel. I think I've been able to find a better balance between my work time and personal time, and that has helped with that overall level of stress and being able to do my best to avoid falling into just that burnout stage again where I'm just utterly exhausted and overwhelmed. Another massive pro, like I already mentioned, is relationship. I have more personal time now and able to make that personal time how I see fit, how I need it. I'm engaged now. Angel and I got engaged last year. She's amazing. And I was able to take those dream trips that I wanted to for so long with somebody and share it with somebody. I took Angel to Japan, then we went to China to see my extended family, my grandma, and then we went to Italy last year. Italy was an amazing trip. That's where we got engaged. We've got more trips coming up, and it's really good for me to have those things to look forward to so I can work really hard, long days, but I know in 2 months' time, we've got this amazing trip to Europe planned. Very, very lucky to be able to do something like that while self-employed and just overall in the scheme of life, right? I recognize that, but that's what I really, really wanted to do, and I have personal time now that I can have, and I have a relationship, someone to share it with. We have date nights, and it's a little break away from cars. Sometimes I'm still vlogging with whatever press car we have when we go out to date night, but we're being very deliberate about doing date night once a week. As long as we're both home, we need to do that. Go out to a nice dinner or cook at home or do something simple. So that relationship and personal time, it's invaluable. It's immeasurable how important. It's probably the most important thing, but I'm very, very happy that I've been able to have that in my life. Another pro, I've been working on building more relationships and connections with different brands, getting more press cars. Over the last year, some of the highlights, I had a new Aston Martin Vantage for a week. I had a Rolls Royce for a week. I'm back in the rotation with Ford press cars. plenty of different cars. I'm working on more just with what I do with these car reviews and living with vlogs. I need to have relationships with various OEMs, whether it's going on media launches to drive new cars when they first come out, or just getting them scheduled so I can spend time with it and create the content. And I always had a little bit of that. I mean, I had a good rotation of press cars, but I've been working really hard on trying to expand that, continue to network. It is truly just a networking thing, right? You have to be known. It's not like all the manufacturers, their PR and comms team just know all the YouTube channels out there. You have to be on their radar. So it takes going to auto shows. It takes networking via other people you may know, connecting at various events and things like that to try to get more and more. And I'm very happy with some of the progress that I've made, new brands that I've connected with to get more cool vehicles to drive and create content with. Now, those were some of the main positives. Now let's talk about some of the cons, some of the less glamorous sides of being full-time YouTube. The inconsistency of YouTube, especially income, it can be a huge swing, literally thousands of dollars in a month. You are very much at the mercy of the platform. If ad rates change, if the algorithm changes, like overall, that's it. You get that money, and however much you made that month is what you get. And it's not like you're a consistent paycheck, right? When you're usually, if you're salaried or maybe you're working hourly, you can clock in that many hours, or your hourly or your salary, your paycheck is just this. It comes every month as long as you have the job. So there's huge inconsistencies, and they can vary quite a lot. So being able to plan for that and buffer that, that's true of anybody self-employed, right? If you're a business owner, small business owner, you could have fantastic sales one month and the next month could be real tough. You could have supply chain challenges and that's going to be a tough quarter or thing. It just, you have to be aware of that, and it is a challenge for sure. There were some months where I'm like, oh, that's not enough money to cover the bills. And some months like, whoa, that was fantastic. I got a sponsor deal. I got a bunch of YouTube ad revenue. I did this, and there's some surplus money I can cover things. Now, when I first started this, I did cover the fact that I knew I was going to go through a huge financial and lifestyle change. I sold 3 cars. I only have the Z06 now, which is paid off, so no car payment there. I sold my R8. I sold the Shelby 350R, which I regret. I sold the A8L, just one car that's currently sitting in the garage because it's winter. And I knew my disposable income wasn't going to be the same as it used to be, which I was okay with. I'd saved up a bit of a buffer, safety, savings. Didn't want to touch that, and I'm actually very proud of the fact that I did not severely dip into my savings last year to continue going on with this endeavor. I set aside a certain amount of money. I was like, I want to give this a 2 to 3 year proper shot. If at the end of that it's still no-go, right? If I'm not even able to cover my living expenses, maybe this isn't going to be successful and I should reconsider trying something else or keep going forward with it, keep grinding. I mean, I can't be impatient. It's not just an overnight success type of thing. But the inconsistency and how you're kind of at the mercy is definitely one of the cons. And another big thing to note is I currently still live in Michigan, moved from Chicago back to Michigan. Family is here. The automakers, there's a couple obviously big ones here. The press fleet is good and cost of living is lower. YouTube doesn't care where you live. There is no cost of living adjustment. So if you're in the Bay Area or Los Angeles or Manhattan and things are just 4 times the price of the Midwest, even Chicago's expensive too, they don't care. You get the same ad revenue. So that is also something to keep in consideration. If you live in a high cost of living area, it's not like YouTube's going to pay you a higher ad rate. That's just not how it works. So that's also a consideration. Another con is the working alone thing. This echoes something I did note at the 3-month and 6-month point where I'm just myself, right? I don't have a video editor right now. I don't have another person to talk about videos with and ideas. I have plenty of friends and other YouTube content creators that I do speak to, I'm friends with, and that does help. But I do miss a little bit of that teamwork aspect. When you get used to working with a team like I'd had at my previous job, it's a lot of fun because you can feel the creative energy, you can bounce ideas off each other, you can share the workload, the challenges, the successes, different viewpoints. So working completely by myself it can feel sometimes a little bit isolating and sometimes a little overwhelming because I just have this gigantic list of stuff and it's just me to get to it, right? Whether it's writing up a post caption or making the thumbnails or editing videos, it's just me right now. And because of the way the economies work of doing this channel, I'm still working on scaling. I can't quite hire an editor right now, right? That was one of the things I did in the past because I had supplemental income from my full-time job. So if I needed to throw some money from my full-time job left over after living expenses to hire an editor to help get through the video workload, I could. It was great, right? But now if I do that, not only could some videos have a negative or zero ROI, I may actually not even be able to cover my living expenses. So I just need to kind of figure out my own time management and make it work. So it's one of those things where you need to get big enough where you can cover those things and start scaling, because some of the big channels, they've got videographers, they've got sound people, they've got editors, they've got photographers, right? They're a much larger team in production. I'm just me relying upon a friend or the owner of a car to help drive it to do maybe rollers or some exterior shots and things like that. So that's just a reality of it, and I hope to be able to build and overcome that. The biggest challenge, though, out of all of those things, I think, is balance. I am super excited about all these YouTube things and projects and ideas, and I want to work 80 hours a week again. But that was the whole reason I wanted to change in the first place, to have a life and not do that. So I'm trying to find that balance, especially with Angel in my life, wanting to spend time with family, travel, spend time with friends, get dinner, like have a social life again. And that is definitely still difficult. I use my Google Calendar obsessively, like to the point where friends tease me for scheduling my showers, because sometimes my day is really busy. I need to block out that half-hour time, like, okay, you're gonna do this and then shower. I'm gonna dinner, shower, work, right? Or gym, go home and shower. Like those are all my calendar, and then edit for 3 hours. That's how I do my Google Calendar. And I carve out time to relax, date night. It's finding that balance, and that I think is something that will take time to continue to develop, working alongside my fiance Angel to make sure we're taking time for ourselves. I'm taking time for myself. But at the same time, I have to put hours in. I have to do work. You can't just expect videos to just spontaneously appear out of nowhere. It takes a lot to produce a video, to edit these videos. And I don't view it as anything bad right now because I'm really excited. I want to just stay up all night and work and film these videos and edit these videos and plan for them and research and do all these ideas that I have. But it is a challenge to acknowledge and something I'm going to keep working on. Other things to note from this past year is supplementing my income source. So YouTube is the primary ad revenue source, right? My biggest platform is YouTube. That's what I've been monetized on for many, many years. So watching the videos, the ad revenue comes through. Every month, Google sends the check essentially to my bank account. But I mean, to be wholly transparent, it's not enough to live off of for me right now, right? Like we have to pay rent, we have utilities, we've got all these other expenses. Getting married is not cheap. So I have found some other things, consulting, some contracting, like consulting gigs. I do have one right now that really does help me kind of exist. So that income is definitely something that essentially I'm working hours for that. So it's another thing to balance on top of the YouTube stuff. Sponsorships, I have landed a couple here and there with brands that I would want to work with, and those will also help. I haven't really prioritized like trying to get a bunch of those. This video has been sponsored, and it was something that I actually personally wanted to use. So I wanted to, you get offers when you do the YouTube thing from all sorts of companies, whether it's like one of the most common ones is like the wireless CarPlay adapter boxes. I get probably one of those a week. You get offers for like light bars and light bulbs. I'm like, I don't have a Jeep. I don't need to put a light bar in my Z06. So there's a lot of junky sponsorship things that I just don't want to do. I'm not going to do those. So I try to find like higher quality ones that I actually believe in the company and product. And I wanted to get what was my point? Get the content more flowing, and I'm building momentum, feeling really confident with that. And then I'm gonna look for the sponsorships to come, find the right brands I want to work with. So I haven't really focused on it really hard. I've had a handful that I'm happy and appreciative of to do these sponsorships. So please click the link and engage in those things, because those always help. And this video, I can genuinely say I use the actual product/service. So those things, and then affiliate marketing is another one. I have a couple links you can see. They're very minor. They help cover gas and things like that, right? But I know that can be a huge source of growth for content creators, right? right? You got to kind of diversify. You don't want to have just a single source because that source could go away. YouTube, Google could be like, AdSense is gone. We're no longer monetizing. I don't think, fingers crossed, I don't think that's going to happen, but you're always at the mercy. You could have your channel, anything could happen. So it's not like having a W-2 where you're kind of more secure, I would say. So diversifying is absolutely helpful. Even if you are on a W-2, diversifying is not a bad idea. So that's a recap reflection on a year of doing full-time YouTube. Did I make the right decision? Absolutely. It was a challenging, difficult year, but overall looking back, I wouldn't have done anything different. I am super excited for the future, what it holds, more ideas, more videos, obviously. I've got more content planned. I'm going to keep working on balancing things with my life and sharing that with you guys. I talked about some of the new video series that I'm planning. So essentially the channel is going to have 3, we'll call them columns of videos. We'll have exhausted reviews, my higher quality produced enthusiast focused car reviews. Videos coming out, we've got a Dodge Viper, Porsche Spyder RS, Ferrari F430, a used Aston Martin Vantage. So enthusiast cars across the whole range. But those will be the reviews. And then I'll have my sunset drives, which every Monday I'm going to try to post one of those where I just stick a camera on my face, I grab whatever car I have, and try to find a somewhat scenic or interesting drive. When Michigan's a little less scenic than California, obviously, but pick a topic to talk about. Some of them that I've already done include how I went from engineering to marketing. I did one on all the different Corvette variants that would be cool to see, right? Speculating if we get a hybridized Z06, like poor man's 918 Spyder. Will we get a Zora? Will we get a Grand Sport? That was a fun one to do. I just filmed one talking about how I balanced having a full-time job in YouTube for so many years, some of the tricks I learned, some of the challenges and the pros. So that'll be sunset drives, and then the living with vlogs or other vlogs, right? The weekly living with vlogs of the car, more informal reviewing general vehicles that I get with the press loans from the different manufacturers. So those will be the 3 kind of verticals of content I'll have going forward on the channel. Outside of that, there's some other ideas. I thought about doing like a car news of the week video summarizing, just essentially sitting here in my office with the light and camera on and talking about the latest car news, what happened in the world of cars. I've done some of those things kind of before. I'm not sure if I want to do that for sure. I know a series that we are going to work on is buying my wife a new car, so I think we'll be married. Or I'm going to call it, anyways, we're buying Angel a new car. We're replacing her Honda CR-V, so I'm excited because I get to have some influence on making something a little more interesting, right? And it would be a cool twist on, let's just say your significant other doesn't care about cars as much, right? Like Angel is not an enthusiast like I am, but I don't want to have regular traffic in my garage. That's how I joke with her. I'm like, she goes, what's wrong with my car? I'm like, I mean, it's fine. It's reliable. It's very efficient, but I want something kind of fun because I drive it too. Anyways, we're going to try to find her a new car. So I'm looking at all sorts of different options there. So I think that'd be a fun little series to do. Obviously, short form content is a thing we cannot ignore. I have to keep doing short form vertical content for Reels, YouTube Shorts. I debated doing a second channel. I'll cover that in the my what's next for 2025 video. I'm not going to do that. Everything's still on the channel, but other things too. I mean, we want to buy a house this year. That's going to be a big thing. That's going to take time, energy, and of course, money. But we're going to settle into a house and hopefully find something with interest rates catastrophically high, terrifying in that regard, and property values also scarily high and expensive for being here. I would not be able to afford anything more than like a small shack in California or other high cost of living areas. So even Midwest here, Michigan. Another crazy thought, maybe it's a little bit crazy. I want to drive the Z06 more. So I've been kind of playing around the idea of taking the Z06 on a road trip out west this summer, hitting up a bunch of like national parks, seeing the beautiful scenery and just driving it, putting more miles on it. It would have to be in the summer, obviously. Right now it's cold and snowy and salty. I don't want to take the car out, but heading out west and ending up in like Vegas, dropped in Arizona, see my friends in Scottsdale, the roads there, and then of course Southern California, go to the canyons, drive out there. I think that could be a lot of fun in a big long video series. So many different ideas, so many exciting things to work on, so many good things going on. I cannot thank everybody enough for the support over the last year and the entire duration of my time on YouTube. It has been ups and downs, as with everything, but as long as we're moving in the right direction and we continue trying new things, feeling engaged, fulfilled, excited, those are all the good things. So it's been a good first year of full-time YouTube. I am very excited for the next year, all the things I have planned. And actually, a year from now, watching this video again and seeing how things have gone and comparing that. So 1 year from now, Eddie, hopefully it's been an epic year. You're thriving. The channel's doing great. Some awesome experiences. And as always, I appreciate all the support. Everybody who's watched these videos, left a comment, subscribed, likes, so forth. Really appreciate that support. And with that, we'll conclude this update video. Thanks for watching.